When Chris dropped me off in front of my dorm, I thought I would finally be able to breathe again. That was a very cute lie. The moment I stepped into the lobby, I realized my body had returned to campus, but my brain was still sitting in Chris's car. Actually, no. My brain was still in his apartment. On his sofa, under that thin blanket. Beside the man who had asked before kissing me like my answer mattered more than his own desire. I walked past the front desk with the calm face of a normal college freshman. At least, I hoped it looked calm. Inside, I was not normal at all. Inside, there was a tiny version of me running around in circles, holding a warning sign that said, "Chris touched your face, and you survived." Barely. When I got to my room, my roommate was not there. Thank God. I did not have enough acting skills left to explain why I looked like someone who had just returned from a date and a near-death emotional experience. I dropped my backpack on the chair, kicked off my shoes, and sat on the edge of my bed. Then I made the mistake of touching my lips. I immediately pulled my hand away. "No," I whispered to myself. "We are not doing this." But my memory had no respect for me. It replayed everything. Chris standing near the door of his apartment. Chris holding his car keys. Chris looking at me like I was something he wanted to keep, but would never take unless I let him. Chris asking softly, "Can I kiss you?" That question should have made the moment feel safer. Instead, it made my heart even more confused. Because who gave him permission to be that respectful? Who told him he could look like a basketball captain, cook like a responsible adult, kiss like a patient person, and still somehow make me want to throw my dignity out the window? I fell backward onto my bed and stared at the ceiling. For one very reckless second, I wondered what would have happened if I had stayed. The thought arrived quietly. Then it sat down in my brain like it had paid rent. What if I had said yes? What if I had stayed in that apartment a little longer? What if Chris had looked at me again, with that careful voice and that gentle smile, and asked one more question I was not emotionally prepared to answer? I sat up so fast the bed frame made a noise. No, I told myself again, louder this time. Absolutely not. We have practice tomorrow. That was right. Practice. Basketball. Running. Passing. Being a functional human being in front of my teammates. I could not show up tomorrow looking like I had spent the whole night losing a private championship against my own feelings. My phone buzzed. I froze. It was Chris. "Did you get back safely?" 5 simple words. 5 completely normal words. I stared at them like they were a full romantic confession written in fire. After 3 attempts, I finally typed back, "Yes, I am in my room now." I stared at the screen. Then Chris replied, "Good. I had a good night with you." I closed my eyes. This man was impossible to defend against. Not because he was aggressive. Not because he moved too fast. No, that would have been easier to defend against. Chris was hardest to resist because he was calm. He said warm things like they were simple facts. He made my heart trip over nothing. He respected every boundary, and somehow that made me want to step closer to him. I typed, erased, typed again, and finally sent. I had a good night too. A few seconds later, 3 little dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Finally, his message came through. "Next time, I might not let you run away that easily." My face burned so fast I had to press my pillow over it. The worst part was, I knew Chris would still ask first. He would still wait. He would still make sure I wanted to stay. And somehow, that made the words "next time" feel even harder to survive than "tonight." I did not sleep after that. Technically, I closed my eyes. I turned off the lamp. I even pulled the blanket over myself like a responsible college student who had practiced the next morning. But my brain did not receive the announcement. My brain was still staring at Chris's last message. "Next time, I might not let you run away that easily." The sentence was not even dramatic. It was not a confession. It was not a promise. It was just one line on my phone screen. So why did it feel like Chris had walked into my room, sat beside my bed, and personally attacked my ability to think? I rolled onto my side and stared at the wall. No, I was not going to overthink this. Chris was probably just teasing me. Normal people teased each other after a date. Normal people sent flirty messages, smiled, slept, and woke up refreshed. Unfortunately, I was not normal. I was Antoine. And Antoine had spent an entire year admiring Chris from a distance before somehow ending up in his car, his apartment, his sofa, and almost inside his hoodie. Almost. That word should have been harmless. It was not. I grabbed my pillow and pressed it against my face. Sleep, I whispered. You have practice tomorrow. My body ignored me. When my alarm rang in the morning, I opened my eyes with the emotional strength of a phone at 1% battery. For a second, I forgot why I felt like I had been fighting ghosts all night. Then I saw my phone. Then I remembered Chris. Then I nearly rolled off the bed. I dragged myself up, brushed my teeth, washed my face with cold water, and stared at myself in the mirror. You are fine, I told my reflection. My reflection looked unconvinced. I was pulling my practice shirt over my head when my phone buzzed on the desk. Team group chat. Coach, scrimmage is canceled today. Full rest day. Recovery, treatment if you need it, and schoolwork. We are back tomorrow. I blinked. Rest day? Today? Since neither of us had classes that day, the rest day suddenly felt much harder to survive than practice. After I had spent half the night telling myself to sleep because of practice, before I could even process that gift from heaven, my phone started buzzing like it had fallen into panic mode. Marcus, wait. Marcus, did Captain ask for a rest day? Derek, is Antoine's ankle worse again? Tyler, be honest. Did our freshman favorite break after one date? I froze with my shirt halfway down my chest. No. Marcus, National Antoine Recovery Day? Someone sent a laughing emoji. Someone else sent a picture of a dramatic sports documentary poster and wrote, "Protect him at all costs." I stood in the middle of my dorm room, one arm still stuck in my sleeve, feeling my soul slowly leave my body. This was not fair. My ankle was fine. My body was fine. The only injured part of me was my dignity, and that was not something athletic training could fix. I grabbed my phone and started typing. My legs are fine. Then I stopped. I stared at the sentence. Absolutely not. That sounded worse. I deleted it immediately. Maybe I could write, my ankle is fine. No. Too defensive. Maybe, I am perfectly able to walk. No. That sounded like evidence in court. While I was fighting for my life over one sentence, the group chat got worse. Derek, if Antoine cannot walk, Captain can carry him to practice tomorrow. Tyler, that is leadership. Marcus, inspirational captain behavior. I made a sound that was not human. Then Chris finally appeared. Chris, coach canceled practice. Stop making it weird. The chat went silent. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Marcus, Captain, that made it weirder. I dropped onto my bed and covered my face with my hand. Of course it did. Of course Chris, with his serious captain energy, had somehow made the situation worse by trying to fix it. Then my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a private message. Chris, are your legs really fine? I stared at the screen. My face went hot so fast I forgot how to breathe. This man was going to be the reason I needed real recovery. I stared at Chris's message for so long my phone almost locked itself. Are your legs really fine? There were many ways to answer that question like a normal human being. I could say yes. I could say my ankle was fine. I could say thank you for asking. Unfortunately, my brain had already left the classroom, left campus, left the country, and was now living inside the sound of Chris's voice. Because when Chris asked if my legs were fine, I did not hear a normal captain checking on an injured teammate. I heard the same Chris who had kissed me softly at his apartment door. The same Chris who had looked at me like he could see every thought I was trying to hide. The same Chris who had texted, "Next time, I might not let you run away that easily." I threw my phone onto the bed, then immediately grabbed it again because I was weak. Very weak. Finally, I typed back, "Yes, my legs are normal. Very normal. Please do not ask that question like that." I sent it. Then I wanted to throw myself out the window. Not actually. This was the 3rd floor, and I still had dreams, classes, and a basketball career to survive. Chris replied a few seconds later. I was asking because of practice. I narrowed my eyes at the screen. Sure. Of course. Captain Chris, responsible team leader, protector of recovery schedules, innocent man with absolutely unfair timing. Then another message appeared. But your reaction is interesting. I fell backward onto my bed. Chris, I whispered, like he could hear me through the phone. You are not allowed to be like this before breakfast. My phone buzzed again. Did you not say you wanted a second date? I sat up. My heart immediately forgot it had only slept for about 15 minutes. Before I could answer, Chris sent another message. Then should we start it now? I stared at the words. Now? As in today? As in no practice, no team, no basketball court, no safe public structure to protect me from my own emotions? Another message came. All day. I stopped breathing. All day. Those 2 words were simple. 2 words. 6 letters. Nothing illegal. Nothing dramatic. But in my head, they turned into a full schedule. Morning. Afternoon. Evening. Night. I covered my mouth with one hand and stared at the ceiling like it had personally witnessed my downfall. No, absolutely not. I was a serious athlete, a responsible college freshman, a young man with academic goals, team responsibilities, and at least 3 remaining pieces of dignity. Then Chris sent one more message. Antoine, breathe. I froze. He knew. Somehow, from another building, through a phone screen, without seeing my face, Chris knew I had lost the fight. I typed quickly. I am breathing. Chris replied. Good. Because I said all day, not your entire future. I closed my eyes. Too late. My brain had already included the future. It had included breakfast dates, late practices, team dinners, hoodies, apartment keys, and Chris looking at me across a kitchen like I belonged there. I hated myself a little, but only a little, because the rest of me was too busy being happy. I typed back. You are very annoying for someone asking me on a date. Chris replied almost immediately. I am still asking. That stopped me. Not the teasing. Not the flirting. That sentence. I am still asking. Chris could joke. He could make me panic. He could turn 2 words into a personal emergency. But underneath all of that, he still gave me the choice. My fingers softened around the phone. I looked at the screen for a few seconds before typing. Yes. I want to go. Chris sent back. Good. I will pick you up in 20 minutes. Then, after a short pause, another message appeared. We can keep today easy. Breakfast first, then we will see. You can still do your schoolwork later. Another message came right after that. We're something comfortable. We are not starting with panic today. I looked down at my wrinkled practice shirt, my half-tied shoes, and my face in the small mirror near my desk. Not starting with panic? That was very funny. Because the moment I saw Chris's car pull up outside my dorm 20 minutes later, calm had already left my body. Chris's car stopped in front of the dorm exactly 20 minutes later. Not 19. Not 21. 20. Of course he was punctual. Of course the man could flirt through text, destroy my mental stability, and still arrive like a responsible adult with good time management. I stood near the entrance with my hands in the pockets of my hoodie, trying to look casual. My outfit was simple. Jeans, sneakers, and a loose sweatshirt. Comfortable, like Chris told me. Unfortunately, clothes could only help the body. They could not help the heart. The passenger window rolled down, and Chris looked at me from the driver's seat. He wore a plain black t-shirt and a light jacket, one hand resting on the steering wheel. His hair was a little messy, like he had not tried too hard. That was unfair. When I did not try, I looked like a tired freshman who had lost a fight with sleep. When Chris did not try, he looked like a movie scene. Good morning, he said. I opened the car door and got in before my face could betray me too much. Morning, I answered. Chris glanced at me once as I buckled my seatbelt. His eyes moved over my face, not in a teasing way this time. More like he was checking if I was really okay. You look tired, he said gently. I look athletic, I corrected. Chris started the car, but the corner of his mouth moved. That is not the word I was going to use. I turned toward the window. Please respect my image. I am trying. No, you are not. That made him laugh quietly. The sound was small, but it still landed somewhere inside my chest. I hated how proud I felt for making him laugh. It was one laugh. A normal laugh. People laughed every day. But because it was Chris, my brain immediately treated it like I had won a national award. We drove to a small breakfast place near campus, the kind with brick walls, student flyers taped near the entrance, and a chalkboard menu that had too many coffee options. It was busy enough to feel normal, but not so crowded that we had to shout. Chris ordered black coffee and an egg sandwich. I ordered iced coffee and pancakes because my soul needed support. When we sat near the window, sunlight fell across the table. Chris took off his jacket and folded it beside him. I pretended not to notice the way his arms looked in that black shirt. I failed. Chris looked up from his coffee. Did you really not sleep? I nearly choked on air. What makes you say that? You stared at the syrup for 10 seconds like it had betrayed you. I looked down. The syrup bottle was innocent. I was not. I slept enough to function, I said. Chris leaned back slightly. That is not an answer. It is a college answer. It is a concerning answer. I cut a piece of pancake with more focus than necessary. I had things on my mind. Chris did not jump in. He did not tease me right away. He just watched me with that calm patience that made honesty feel less terrifying. After a second, he asked, was I one of those things? I put the fork in my mouth so I would not have to answer immediately. Bad plan. Because Chris waited. He always waited. That was the problem with him. He did not corner me. He gave me space, and then my own feelings walked into the space like they had been invited. I swallowed and stared at my plate. Maybe. Chris's voice softened. Good maybe or bad maybe? I looked up. He was not smiling now. Not dangerously. Not playfully. Just openly, like my answer actually mattered. My chest went warm. Good, I said quietly. Mostly dangerous, but good. Chris breathed out a small laugh, but his eyes stayed gentle. I can work with that. The sentence was simple. So simple. But I had to look back down at my pancakes like they could protect me. Because Chris saying he could work with my messy feelings made something inside me relax. He was not asking me to be cool. He was not asking me to stop blushing, stop panicking, or stop being the person who needed 3 business days to process one kiss. He was just there, across from me, drinking coffee, looking at me like I was not too much. And that was much worse than flirting. By the time breakfast ended, I was full, slightly more awake, and emotionally less stable than before. Chris picked up the check before I could even reach for it. Hey, I protested. I can pay for my own pancakes. I know, he said, standing up. You can pay next time. I froze. Next time. Again. Chris noticed, of course. He opened the door for me, his smile almost innocent. You heard that one too, did you? I walked past him into the morning air, trying very hard not to smile. I hear everything when you are the one saying it. Chris was quiet for half a second. Then he stepped beside me and asked, so where do you want to go now? I looked at the campus street, the students walking by, the whole day suddenly open in front of us. And somehow, that felt harder to prepare for than practice. I should have said something simple. Maybe the library. Maybe a walk around campus. Maybe anywhere safe, public, and emotionally low risk. Instead, Chris looked at me with that calm face and said, there is an amusement park about 20 minutes from here. I blinked. An amusement park? It is a rest day, he said. We should rest. That sounds like a very athletic definition of rest. Chris smiled as we walked toward his car. You wanted a second date. I did. I admitted, then immediately regretted how honest that sounded. Chris opened the passenger door for me. Then let me do it properly. Properly. That word almost took me out before I even sat down. Because apparently, Captain Chris did not only run plays on the court. He also ran date strategies. Breakfast first. Comfortable clothes. Amusement park. Probably emotional damage scheduled for later. I got into the car and narrowed my eyes at him. Did you plan this? Chris closed my door, then walked around to the driver's side. When he got in, he looked very serious. Of course, he said. A plan is important, especially with little Antoine. I turned toward him so fast my seat belt locked for a second. Little Antoine. His mouth twitched. Emotionally. Chris. What? You are very brave on the court. And off the court. He started the car. Off the court. You argue with syrup bottles and panic over text messages. I looked out the window, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing me smile. But I smiled anyway. The amusement park was not huge, but it was bright and busy in that perfect college town way. Families, students, couples, fried food stands, music from old speakers, and a giant wheel turning slowly above everything. Chris bought our tickets before I could protest. You are creating debt, I told him. You paid with pancakes next time, he said. That is not how money works. It is how dates work. I had no defense against that. Our first stop was a game booth filled with stuffed animals. Chris pointed at a soft white rabbit sitting near the top shelf. That one, he said. The worker handed him 3 baseballs. I crossed my arms and leaned against the counter. Do not tell me you are good at this too. Chris threw the first ball. Hit. Second ball. Hit. Third ball. Hit. The worker rang a small bell and handed him the rabbit. I stared at him. Chris held the rabbit out to me. For you. I took it slowly. Why a rabbit? It reminded me of you. I looked down at the round little face and long ears. I am tall. I play basketball. I do not look like a rabbit. Chris leaned closer, his voice gentle but clearly amused. I meant emotionally. I hugged the rabbit against my chest before I could stop myself. Then I realized what I was doing and lowered it immediately. Chris saw everything. Of course he did. After that, we rode the roller coaster. I told Chris I was not scared. That was another cute lie. The moment the cart climbed the first hill, my hand found his. Not grabbed. Found. That was my official statement. Chris did not say anything. He only held my hand tighter when the cart dropped, and I made a sound that probably ended my reputation forever. At the haunted house, I did better. For about 10 seconds. Then a fake ghost jumped out beside me, and I nearly used Chris as a shield. Chris laughed so hard I wanted to be offended, but his hand stayed at my back the whole time, warm and steady. By late afternoon, we ended up on the Ferris wheel. The city looked softer from above. The campus buildings were in the distance. The sky had started turning gold, and the rabbit sat between us like a witness. Chris looked out over the park. Tired? A little, I said. Hungry? I looked at him. He looked back. My brain remembered the apartment. The sofa. The kitchen. Chris cooking. Danger. I still said, I want to try your cooking. Chris's expression softened, not teasing this time. Then we should stop by the grocery store. My heart did something very stupid. Because somehow, going to buy food with him felt more intimate than the whole amusement park. I hugged the rabbit again and looked away. Okay, I said. But if your cooking is bad, I will judge you. Chris laughed softly. Fair. And as the Ferris wheel slowly carried us back down, I realized the dangerous part was not that Chris made my heart race. The problem was that with him, even ordinary things started to feel like promises. We stopped by a grocery store on the way back to Chris's apartment. It should have been a normal thing. People bought groceries every day. Students bought pasta, chicken, vegetables, frozen pizza, and energy drinks like survival equipment. There was nothing romantic about a grocery cart with one squeaky wheel. Except Chris pushed the cart with one hand and held the little white rabbit in the other. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. That was unfair. A basketball captain should not look that serious while carrying a stuffed rabbit. You know, I said, walking beside him, people are staring. Chris looked at the rabbit, then at me. They are probably wondering why I am carrying your emotional twin. I am going to leave you in the frozen food aisle. You would miss me before dairy. I hated that he was probably right. We bought pasta, chicken, vegetables, strawberries, and a small container of ice cream because Chris said a second date needed dessert. I told him that sounded like a rule he invented. He said most good rules started that way. By the time we reached his apartment building, the sky outside had turned soft and blue. The kind of evening that made everything feel slower. Standing outside his door for the second time felt different. Last night, I had been nervous because everything was new. Tonight, I was nervous because it was not new anymore. I knew the sofa. I knew the kitchen. I knew the warm light in the living room. I knew Chris could stand in this doorway, look at me with that patient expression, and make my entire brain forget basic defense. Chris unlocked the door and stepped aside. You okay? He asked. I lifted the grocery bag a little. I am carrying vegetables. I am very stable. That is also not an answer. It is the answer you are getting. Chris smiled and let me walk in first. The apartment was quiet, clean, and too comfortable. I put the rabbit on the sofa, like he needed a safe place to witness whatever emotional disaster might happen next. Chris set the groceries on the counter. I am going to shower first. You can watch television if you want. Television sounded safe. Too safe. So of course I said, I can wash the vegetables. Chris looked at me for 1 second, then at the vegetables. You want to wash vegetables? Yes. Very passionately. Extremely. His mouth twitched like he knew exactly what I was doing, but he only nodded. Okay, do not drown them. Then he took clean clothes from his room and disappeared into the bathroom. I stood at the sink and turned on the water. The vegetables had done nothing wrong. but I washed them like they had been pulled from the ground during a storm. Lettuce, tomatoes, bell peppers. I inspected every leaf with the focus of a scientist trying to save humanity. Anything to keep my eyes from drifting toward the bathroom door. This was fine. I was fine. I was a mature college athlete washing produce in the apartment of the man I had admired for a year and kissed last night. Completely normal. The shower stopped. My hand froze around a tomato. I looked down at it. "Stay calm," I whispered to the tomato. The tomato did not help. A few seconds later, Chris stepped out of the hallway wearing dark shorts, a towel in one hand, and his shirt hanging over his shoulder. It was a normal image. Completely normal. If we were in a locker room. But we were not in a locker room. We were in his apartment. Alone. And Chris was walking toward the kitchen with damp hair, bare shoulders, and the kind of abs that made my soul want to file an official complaint. My brain did not shut down. It exploded first, then shut down. Chris stopped when he saw my face. "Antoine." I blinked at him. He took one step closer. "Are you okay?" I nodded too quickly. "I think I am fine. Very fine. Your abs are fine." Silence. Then I realized what I had said. I slowly turned back to the sink and wished the vegetables would open a secret door and let me disappear. Behind me, Chris was quiet for 1 second. Then he laughed. Not loudly, not cruelly, just soft enough to make everything worse. "I am sorry," he said, putting his shirt on. "I did not mean to attack you mentally." I pointed at the sink without turning around. "You are a terrible person. I am cooking dinner for you. You are still a terrible person." Chris came to stand beside me, now fully dressed, which helped. A little. He reached for the cutting board and smiled. "Then I will make dinner good enough for forgiveness." I finally looked at him. Bad idea. Even with a shirt on, he was still Chris. Captain. Cook. Emotional criminal. I picked up the rabbit from the sofa and held it against my chest like protection. "Fine," I said. "I will judge after dinner." Chris looked at the rabbit, then at me. "I trust your emotional twin to be fair." I hugged the rabbit tighter. My heart was not fair at all. Chris started cooking like he had done this 1,000 times. That should not have surprised me. Of course he could cook. Of course he knew how to move around a kitchen without looking lost. Of course he could cut vegetables, heat a pan, check the pasta, and still look calm enough to lead a team through overtime. Meanwhile, I was sitting on his sofa with a stuffed rabbit in my arms, pretending I was not watching him like a nature documentary about a species my heart clearly could not survive. The responsible boyfriend. Actually, wait. Was he my boyfriend? My brain stopped. No, absolutely not. We were not opening that file while Chris was holding a kitchen knife. "Antoine." Chris called from the kitchen. I sat up too fast. "Yes." "Do you want to take a shower before dinner?" My soul left my body for half a second, then returned with paperwork. "A shower." Chris glanced back at me. "You walked around the park all afternoon. I thought you might want to feel more comfortable." Right. Normal reason. Adult reason. Clean reason. My brain, unfortunately, had chosen a different route. Chris wiped his hands on a towel and opened a cabinet. "You can use the bathroom first. I have extra towels." I stood up slowly, still holding the rabbit. Chris looked at it. "Is he coming too?" I immediately put the rabbit back on the sofa. "No. He will guard the living room." Brave of him. Braver than me. Chris heard that. His expression softened, and for a moment the teasing disappeared. "You do not have to be nervous here." That sentence hit harder than it should have. Because he did not say, "Nothing will happen." He did not say, "Relax, you are overthinking." He said I did not have to be nervous here. Like his apartment was allowed to become somewhere safe for me. Like I was allowed to take up space in it. Chris pointed toward the hallway. "My room is on the left. The clean clothes are in the top drawer. Pick whatever feels comfortable." I stared at him. "You are letting me go into your room?" His smile came back, softer this time. "With you, everything is okay." That was unfair. That was absolutely illegal. A person should not say something that gentle while boiling pasta. I walked down the hallway before my face could fully expose me. Chris's bedroom was simple. A made bed, a desk with a laptop, a few basketball books and old game tapes on a shelf, a hoodie on the chair. Nothing dramatic, but it smelled like him. Clean laundry, soap, something warm that made my chest tighten. I stood there for 2 seconds too long. Then I remembered I was not here to worship a room. I opened the drawer with the caution of someone handling classified government files. I took a soft gray t-shirt and a pair of basketball shorts. Each step felt like I was carrying 220 pounds on my back. Not because the clothes were heavy, because they were Chris's. I took the fastest shower of my life, then the slowest one. First, I wanted to get out quickly. Then I realized the cold water was the only thing keeping my brain from catching fire again. When I finally came out, wearing Chris's shirt and shorts, dinner was already on the small table. Chris looked up. For 1 second, he did not say anything. That 1 second nearly ended me. Then he smiled. "You were in there so long, I almost checked if you were okay." "I am okay," I said too quickly. Chris looked at my clothes, then back at my face. They fit. They did not. The shirt was loose on my shoulders, and the shorts sat lower than I expected. But I was not going to discuss the emotional consequences of wearing Chris's clothes in front of Chris. "They are comfortable," I said. "Good." He pulled out a chair for me. "Come on. You still need to judge dinner." Dinner looked simple. Pasta with chicken, vegetables, and a small bowl of strawberries on the side. It tasted better than it had any right to. I wanted to praise him properly, but my brain was overloaded. Chris's room. Chris's clothes. Chris cooking. Chris sitting across from me like this was normal. So I focused on eating. Chris asked about my classes. I answered. He asked if I liked the sauce. I said yes. He asked if the meal was good enough for forgiveness. I pointed my fork at him. "Maybe." Chris laughed. "Only maybe. You attacked me mentally earlier." I put on a shirt. After the damage was done. His smile softened across the table. I looked down at my plate before my heart could do something embarrassing. The worst part was not that dinner felt romantic. The worst part was that dinner felt normal. Like I could sit here again. Like Chris could cook again. Like I could wear his shirt, eat at his table, and somehow belong in this quiet little apartment. After dinner, Chris carried the plates to the sink. "So," he said, glancing toward the sofa. "Movie." I looked at the sofa. The same sofa from last night. The same place where my heart had already lost one battle. I hugged the rabbit from the cushion and whispered to myself, "We survived it once." Then Chris sat down beside me, closer than before. And suddenly, survival did not feel guaranteed. Chris did not touch me right away. That should have made me feel safer. It did. Unfortunately, feeling safe around Chris made me want to move closer, and that was the part one did not know how to handle. He sat close enough that our shoulders almost touched, but not fully. The movie started on the television, some light comedy he had chosen because, in his words, "You need something that will not attack you emotionally." Very funny. The movie was not attacking me. The man beside me was. Not by doing anything dramatic. Just by being there. Just by sitting beside me in soft sweatpants and a plain t-shirt, smelling like clean soap, dinner, and the terrible future of my self-control. I held the rabbit on my lap like it was official emotional support. Chris glanced at it. "Is he protecting you from me?" "He is protecting me from myself." Chris looked at me for a second, then back at the television. "That sounds like a difficult job." "It is a full-time position." His laugh was quiet. The movie played for maybe 10 minutes. I understood none of it. People on screen were talking. Someone probably made a joke. Maybe there was a plot. I had no idea. My entire attention was focused on the very small distance between Chris's knee and mine. Last night, there had been space. A safe space. A respectful space. Tonight, the space was still respectful. But it was smaller. And because Chris was not closing it completely, my brain started asking a terrible question. Was he waiting for me? I looked down at his hand resting on the sofa between us. Strong fingers. Calm fingers. The same hand that had held mine on the roller coaster, steadied my back in the haunted house, cooked dinner, and never once made me feel rushed. That was the problem. Chris never made me feel pushed. He made me want to move. I swallowed and tightened my hold on the rabbit. Chris noticed, of course. "Are you cold?" he asked, already starting to shift. "I can get a blanket." The word blanket almost ended my career. "No," I said quickly. Chris paused and looked at me. His eyes were gentle, careful, too patient for my survival. I knew I could laugh it off. I could say I was fine. I could keep watching a movie I was not watching and wait for Chris to make the next move. But suddenly, I did not want to wait. Not because I was brave. I was absolutely not brave. My heart was panicking like a freshman who had walked into the wrong final exam. But I remembered last night. Chris asking first. Chris stopping at the door. Chris letting me leave. Chris giving me every chance to choose. Maybe that was why my voice came out before my fear could stop it. Chris. He turned fully toward me. Yeah. I looked at him, then looked down at the rabbit, then back at him. My face was already burning. Can I kiss you? For the first time all day, Chris looked truly surprised. Not teasing surprised. Not Captain pretending he did not know what he was doing. Really surprised. His eyes softened almost immediately, but he did not move closer yet. You want to? I nodded, then realized nodding was not enough. After everything he had given me, I wanted to give him a clear answer too. Yes, I said. I want to. The room felt quieter after that. The movie kept playing, but it became background noise, something far away and unimportant. Chris's voice dropped. Then come here. That was all. No pressure. No rush. Just an open door. I put the rabbit carefully beside me, as if even he deserved respect in this serious moment. Then I leaned toward Chris before I could lose my nerve. Our kiss was not perfect. I was too nervous for perfect. My hand landed awkwardly against his shoulder first, then slid to the front of his shirt. My heart was so loud I was sure Chris could hear it. Maybe he could. Maybe that was why he stayed still for 1 second, letting me decide how close I wanted to be. Then his hand rose slowly and rested against my upper arm. Not pulling, not taking, just there, warm and steady. I kissed him again, less clumsy this time. Chris breathed out softly, like he had been holding something back all day, and the sound went straight through me. My fingers curled lightly into his shirt. That was when Chris gently pulled back. Not far, just enough to look at me. His forehead almost touched mine, and his voice was low, careful, and completely unfair. Antoine, he whispered, are you sure? My chest rose and fell too fast. But this time, I did not run. I did not hide behind a joke. I did not let my panic answer for me. I looked at Chris and said, yes. I wanted to choose first this time. Something changed in his face. All the teasing disappeared. Only Chris was left. The real one. The one who listened. The one who waited. The one who made me feel safe even when my whole body felt like a warning light. He touched my cheek gently and smiled in a way that made my heart forget every defense it had ever learned. Then we go slow, he said. And somehow, that sentence made me want to stay even more. Chris really meant it. He went slow. Not the kind of slow that felt like hesitation. The kind of slow that made every second heavier. His hand stayed against my cheek for a moment, warm and steady, while his eyes searched mine like he was checking for anything I was not brave enough to say. I thought he would kiss me right away. He did not. Of course he did not. Because Chris was apparently designed to ruin me with patience. You can tell me to stop anytime, he said. My throat felt tight. I know. I mean it, Antoine. The way he said my name made my whole body go quiet. Not calm. Never calm. Calm had left this apartment hours ago and was probably halfway across campus by now. But quiet, like every messy thought inside me had stopped to listen. I nodded, then forced myself to answer properly. I know you mean it. Chris studied me for another second. Then he kissed me again. This time, I was not the only one reaching forward. Chris met me halfway, still careful, still gentle, but no longer surprised. His hand moved from my cheek to the back of the sofa beside me, not trapping me, just close enough to make the whole room feel smaller. I had spent all day thinking Chris was hardest to handle when he teased me. I was wrong. Chris was much harder to resist when he was quiet. When he kissed me like he had all the time in the world. When he pulled back before I lost myself completely and asked, "Still okay?" I almost laughed. My heart was no longer a heart. It was a basketball bouncing wildly down an empty gym. "I am okay," I said, breathing a little too fast. "I am just losing very badly." Chris's mouth softened. Against me, I looked at him. His hair was still slightly damp from the shower. His shirt was simple. His face was close enough for me to see the tiny change in his expression when he tried not to smile. This man had no idea how unfair he was. Or maybe he knew exactly. Against myself, I whispered. Chris gave a low, quiet laugh, then touched his forehead to mine. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. The movie kept playing behind us. Someone on screen said something funny, and a fake laugh track filled the room. It sounded far away, like it belonged to another world. In this world, there was only Chris, the sofa, the soft light from the kitchen, and my fingers still curled into the front of his shirt. Chris glanced down at my hand. "You are holding on pretty tightly," he said. I immediately loosened my fingers. "Sorry." He covered my hand with his before I could pull away. I did not say I minded. That sentence went straight through my entire nervous system. I closed my eyes for a second. No, absolutely not. I needed to stay alive. I still had classes, basketball, and a team chat that already thought my legs were broken. But when I opened my eyes, Chris was still there. Waiting. Always waiting. His thumb moved once across the back of my hand. "Do you want me to stop?" he asked. I shook my head before I could overthink it. Chris did not accept that. His voice stayed soft, but firmer. "Then I need you to say it." My face burned. Not because he was pushing me. Because he was not. Because he was giving me the choice again. Even when my hand was already holding his shirt. Even when I had kissed him first. Even when the answer was probably written all over my face. He still wanted to hear me say it. I swallowed. "I do not want you to stop." Chris went completely still. For 1 second, I wondered if I had said too much. Then his expression changed. Not into a teasing smile. Not into that unfair little captain look that made my thoughts surrender. Something softer. Something almost careful. He lifted my hand and kissed my knuckles, so lightly it felt more like a promise than a kiss. "Okay," he whispered. "Then we keep going slow." I nodded. My voice was almost gone, but somehow I found enough of it to answer. "Okay." And when Chris kissed me again, I was not thinking about running anymore. I was thinking that maybe choosing someone did not have to feel like falling. Maybe, with the right person, it could feel like being caught. Chris kissed me like he was listening to every breath I took. That was the only way I could explain it. He did not rush past my nervousness. He did not treat my answer like permission to stop paying attention. If anything, after I said I did not want him to stop, he became even more careful. And that made everything worse. Better. Harder to breathe through. I did not know which word was correct anymore. The movie was still playing behind us, but the room had changed. The jokes on the television felt too loud now. The bright colors on the screen felt too sharp. Chris noticed me glance toward it, and without saying anything, he reached for the remote. The screen went dark. The apartment became quiet. Not empty quiet. Full quiet. The kind of quiet where I could hear the soft hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of cars outside, and my own heartbeat acting like it had never been trained for endurance. Chris set the remote down on the coffee table. Then he looked at me again. "Still with me?" he asked. I almost smiled, because it was such a Chris question. Not "Are you impressed?" Not "Do you want more?" Not anything that would make me feel small or cornered. Just "Still with me?" Like the most important thing in the room was not what might happen next, but whether I was still choosing it. I nodded, then remembered he deserved words. "Yes," I said. "I am still with you." His eyes softened. The little white rabbit from the amusement park was sitting beside the sofa, tilted against the cushion like an innocent witness. For some reason, seeing it there made my face burn even hotter. Chris followed my gaze and smiled faintly. "Your emotional twin looks worried." "He should be," I whispered. "He knows I am losing." Chris leaned closer, his voice low but gentle. "You are not losing, Antoine." I looked at him. He touched my hand, not taking it until my fingers opened for him. "You are choosing," he said. That sentence hit somewhere deeper than all his teasing had. Because he was right. For so long, I had felt like my feelings for Chris were something that happened to me. Like a storm. Like a bad decision. Like a secret I could only hold from a distance. But tonight was different. Tonight, I was not just the freshman who admired him. I was not just the guy who blushed too easily, panicked too loudly, and lost battles against his own imagination. I was here, in his apartment, wearing his shirt, holding his hand, and I was choosing to stay. Chris stood first, but he did not pull me up. He only held out his hand and waited. My chest tightened. This was the edge of the night. I knew it. He knew it too. That was why he asked again, one more time, with no impatience in his voice. "Are you sure, Antoine?" My fingers closed around his. This time, my voice did not shake as much. "I trust you." Chris went very still. Then he squeezed my hand once, softly, like he understood those 3 words were bigger than yes. He turned off the small lamp beside the sofa. The living room dimmed, leaving only the warm light from the kitchen and the city glow slipping through the window. The apartment felt smaller, safer, ours, even if just for that night. Chris did not leave me like someone taking something. He walked beside me like someone being trusted with something precious. At the hallway, I paused once. Not because I wanted to run, because I wanted to remember. The quiet apartment, the rabbit on the sofa, Chris's hand around mine. The way my heart was still racing, but not from fear. Chris looked back at me. We can still stop. I shook my head and stepped closer. I know, I whispered. That is why I am not scared. His expression changed completely. Soft, warm, almost overwhelmed. Then the bedroom door closed behind us. And that night, Chris did not take anything from me. He waited until I was ready to give him that trust. He listened when I was quiet, slowed down when I needed air, and held me like my trust mattered more than his desire. So I did not feel small. I did not feel rushed. I did not feel like I had fallen too far. I felt chosen. I felt safe. I felt loved in a way my old fanboy heart could never have imagined from a distance. The rest of that night belonged only to us. When I woke up, sunlight was slipping through the curtains. For a few seconds, I did not move. I did not even open my eyes all the way. My body knew I was not in my dorm room before my brain could explain it. The bed felt different. The blanket smelled like clean laundry and Chris. The room was quiet in a way that made my heart slowly wake up before the rest of me. Then memory returned. Not all at once. Softly. The dim living room. Chris's hand holding mine. His voice asking if I was sure. The way he stopped every time I needed air. The way he made the night feel less like crossing a line and more like being trusted with one. I pulled the blanket higher over my face. I was not embarrassed in a bad way. That was the strange part. I was shy, very shy. My face was probably warm enough to heat the entire apartment. But beneath all of that, there was something calm. I felt safe. I felt wanted. I felt like last night had not taken anything from me. It had given me something. That thought was so overwhelming, I almost turned into a blanket permanently. Outside the bedroom, I heard a cabinet open. Then a mug touched the counter. Then the smell of coffee drifted in. Chris was in the kitchen. Of course he was. Apparently, after changing my entire emotional system, he could still wake up and make coffee like a normal person. That was unfair. I looked down and realized I was still wearing his shirt. Bad idea. My heart immediately started acting like a freshman at his first home game. The shirt was loose on me, soft from being washed many times, and far too comfortable for my survival. I touched the hem for half a second, then stopped because my brain was already trying to write a poem about cotton. Absolutely not, I whispered. A soft knock came from the doorframe. I froze. Chris stood there in a clean t-shirt and joggers, hair still a little messy, one hand resting lightly against the frame. He did not step inside right away. Even after last night, he still waited. That one small thing nearly ruined me more than anything else. "Are you awake?" he asked. I pulled the blanket over half my face. No, his mouth curved. That is a very clear answer for someone who is not awake. Please give me 3 business days to process my life. Chris laughed softly. Take your time. I peeked at him over the blanket. He looked gentler in the morning. Less like the captain everyone followed. More like the person who had held my hand in the dark and asked if I was still okay. That version of Chris reached me in a completely different way. He nodded toward the kitchen. Coffee first, or team chat first? I sat up so fast the blanket almost fell off me. Team chat. Chris's expression became suspiciously calm. Your phone has been buzzing. My soul left my body. I looked at the nightstand. My phone was there. Face down. Like evidence. I reached for it with the courage of a man opening a final exam he had not studied for. There were 12 unread messages. Of course there were. Marcus. So, is National Antoine Recovery Day continuing today? Derek. Captain has not replied either. Tyler. Suspicious. Marcus. Should we send flowers? Derek. Or ice packs? Tyler. Maybe both. Romance and recovery. I stopped reading and pressed the phone to my chest. No, Chris walked in with 2 mugs and set one on the nightstand. No what? No team. No chat. No society. I am resigning from basketball and becoming a forest spirit. Chris sat on the edge of the bed, leaving space between us even though we were already close enough for my heart to panic. That is a big career change. It is necessary. He glanced at my phone. Did you reply? I cannot face them. Chris took a sip of coffee like this was not an emergency. Then we faced them together. I looked at him. He said it so simply, not like a dramatic promise, not like a movie line, just like it was obvious that if I was embarrassed, he would sit beside me. If the team teased me, he would not disappear. If my face turned red, he would not make me stand there alone. Something inside my chest softened. I unlocked my phone again. My fingers hovered over the screen. Chris leaned closer and said, "Do not type. My legs are fine." I turned to him immediately. "Chris." His smile broke through. "I am helping. You are enjoying this." A little. I wanted to be offended. I really did. But he looked too happy, too warm, too real beside me. So I typed slowly. "My ankle is fine. My pride needs treatment." I sent it before I could lose courage. The group chat exploded. "Marcus, he lives." "Derek, pride injury confirmed." "Tyler, Captain, please monitor patient." Chris read the messages over my shoulder and typed from his own phone. "Chris, practice is still at 4. Rest while you can." At 4. Perfect. That meant I had only a few hours to learn how to walk into the gym like a normal teammate, and not like someone whose whole life had been rearranged inside Chris's apartment. If I failed, I already had a backup plan. I would pretend my ankle hurt again. Not seriously, just enough to protect my pride. Maybe a small limp. A dignified limp. Chris looked at my face and narrowed his eyes. "Do not tell me you are planning something." "I am planning survival." "Antoine." "What?" "If I cannot walk. Normally at practice, I need options." "Your ankle is fine." "My ankle is fine," I said. "My face is not." Chris tried not to laugh. He failed. 3 dots appeared from Marcus. "Marcus, Captain has spoken." Then another message came. "Marcus, still suspicious though." I groaned and dropped my forehead against Chris's shoulder. He laughed quietly and stayed still, letting me hide there. For the first time, the team knowing did not feel terrifying. Embarrassing, yes. Extremely embarrassing. But not terrifying. Because Chris was still here. Morning had come. Nothing had vanished. He was still beside me, warm and steady, with coffee, bad jokes, and a shoulder I could hide against. And maybe that was the real difference between a dream and something real. A dream disappeared when the sun came up. Chris did not. He stayed. The team could tease us later. Practice was still at 4, but 4 o'clock could wait for a little while. The world outside this apartment could keep moving without me for a little while. Because right now, I was sitting in Chris's bed, wearing his shirt, holding coffee he had made for me, and realizing that the dream I had once watched from far away had become real enough to touch. Chris looked down at me, his shoulders still warm against my forehead. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. This time, I did not panic. I did not hide behind a joke. I looked at him, then at the morning light slipping across his room, and nodded. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." Chris smiled like that answer mattered. And for the first time, I did not want to run back to safety. I wanted to stay exactly where I was. Beside him,